All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. Now, we've seen the return of the big fella in the NBA as you look at it. In both 2019 and 2020, the NBA's MVP award went to Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. Then the next 2 years would see it go to Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. And now it's all about Philadelphia 76ers center Joel Embiid. Now, after narrowly missing out on winning the award in 2022, Embiid was on a mission last year to win the award as he finished the season by averaging more than 33 points and more than 10 rebounds to win his first NBA MVP honors. And this season, Embiid is on pace to lead the league in scoring for the third consecutive year as he came into play today averaging 36 points, nearly 11 and a half rebounds, and nearly 6 assists. The last 22 games for Embiid have seen him score at least 30 points in each one of those contests. And, after averaging more than 40 points per game last month, he's kept that pace going as he's averaging just a shade over 39 here in the month of January. Got the San Antonio Spurs for 70 points at the beginning of the week in a 133 to 123 victory for the 76ers. You think about it earlier this month in a battle of the bigs when he took on Nikola Jokic, and Embiid tends to save his best games for the other, elite players at his position. He got Jokic and the Nuggets for 41 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds as the Sixers beat the Nuggets 126 to 121. Had a 50-point performance against Karl Anthony Towns and the Minnesota Timberwolves last month, 51 points and 12 rebounds to be exact, as the 76ers got past the Timberwolves. Got 50 points earlier in the month, 50 points and 13 rebounds as the 76ers got the best of the Washington Wizards. Got the Washington Wizards again earlier this year with 48 points and 11 rebounds. So you see the pattern here as far as Joel Embiid just simply taking over when he wants to. And at the end of the day, you're looking at Embiid. Clearly, he's in the prime of his career. And plain and simple, prime Embiid is just tough to stop. Just give him the ball and get out of the way. And, when you have certain bigs, I talk about Joel Embiid. I've talked about this with Giannis. I've even talked about it with Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Davis as well. When they're 15 feet and in, there's nobody that can stop them in the NBA, especially since we don't have the level of physicality in the league that we did once upon a time. Those skilled bigs, such as Embiid, can go out there and take advantage of that and exploit that because nobody wants to bang with these guys for 40 minutes. And you look at these new Sixers this year under Nick Nurse, and I think Nick Nurse has a potential to do some special team things with this team. You think back when Nick Nurse took over the Toronto Raptors, and after being so close and being unable to get over that hump, of course, it helped that they had Kawhi Leonard that year, but nonetheless, we saw the Raptors get over that hump and get their first NBA championship. And I think that's going to be important for Embiid and company because you look at this talented team. Tyrese Maxey has really taken his game to the next level under Nick Nurse. And of course, it's not hurting Maxey that James Harden is no longer a Sixers. He's averaging more than a career high at 25 points per game. You got Tobias Harris, you bring in Kelly Oubre, and then, of course, the man in the middle, Joel Embiid. And of course, you bring in a guy like Nick Nurse as your head coach. Why? Because you want him to help this team get over that hump. And of course, for the Sixers to get over that hump, it's got to start with the big man, Joel Embiid. Puts up the numbers in the regular season, but they have not been as comparable in the postseason. And I think that's going to be very important for Joel Embiid because just like the Sixers need him now, they're going to need him even more in the postseason if they want to get to ultimately where they want to get to. So you look at it like this. And it's very interesting when it comes to the NBA because the NBA is a special league in comparison to some of the other major sports. Every single MVP in NBA history has gone on to make the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, that bodes well for Joel Embiid. And of course, it's only heightened when you join that list of guys who have won the award multiple times. Of course, nobody's done it more than Kareem Abdul Jabbar with 6 MVPs. But if Embiid were to win this award again this year, like I said, it would be the third time in the last 6 years where we've had a repeat winner. But then on top of that, Embiid would be joining the likes of Karl Malone, Tim Duncan, Bob Pettit, Steve Nash, Steph Curry, Giannis, and Nikola Jokic as far as players who have won it twice. And then, of course, like I said, the more you do it, the more that it states your claim to be a basketball Hall of Famer. I think Embiid is well on his way to doing that. But nonetheless, you look at it this season, and I mean, there's some solid competition out there. You got Luka Doncic, who's right behind Embiid, averaging just north of 33 and a half points per game. And as we saw Joel Embiid get 70 earlier this week, we saw Luka Doncic just being in the zone simply tonight against the Atlanta Hawks as he got them for 73. You think about what Giannis is doing with the Milwaukee Bucks this year, averaging more than 31 points per game, averaging close to 12 rebounds himself, and averaging more than 6 assists. And of course, right now the Bucks are ahead of this in the standings of the 76ers in that tough Eastern Conference. But you look at Embiid and you ask yourself, where does he rank among the top big men today in the NBA? And of course, Embiid is right there. And I think Embiid takes it personal, in my opinion, when it comes to facing the other elite bigs because he makes sure to go out there and put his best foot forward. But I think, like I said before, the next step for him growing as a player is to do that same thing when the postseason comes. I mean, you look at Embiid's numbers. I know that he was injured for the 76ers last year, but nonetheless, his numbers do dip at the offensive end. And that's part of the reason why the Sixers have been unable to get past the second round with him. In regards to the all time bigs in NBA history, I'll tell you like this. Granted, this era is a lot different because of physicality is simply not there. It's tough to compare him, to a Shaquille O'Neal, to a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, to a Moses Malone, so many other great bigs that have played in the National Basketball Association. But nonetheless, for this era, he's one of the best to have ever done it in this era. And I think when it's all said and done, you know, he's still going to be one of the top bigs to have ever played in the NBA because, again, like I said, he more than likely is going to be the NBA's MVP again. And then when you're a two-time MVP, and then of course once you get to that level of three-time MVP and four-time MVP, let's not get carried away ahead of ourselves, rather. But it's one of those, you know what? The game tends to remember you a little bit more. But I'll tell you like this: it's one of those, like I said before, with Joel Embiid. You just give him the basketball and get out of his way. Nobody can stop this guy right now. He's in his prime. But the thing is, for him to truly be remembered, it's going to come down to what he's going to be able to do in May and June for the Sixers. Because if he gets another MVP award, but then he and the Sixers come up short, it's not going to amount to a hill of beans, especially in a tough sports town like Philadelphia. But nonetheless, here in the first half of the season, in my opinion, I do believe that Joel Embiid is in the catbird seat to claim his second consecutive NBA MVP award. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning in to the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.